Just let the attendees with their hands up know that we're not bringing people in as panelists today. So I'll just put your hands down and sorry about that. Back to recording.
Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
Next question.
Paulo's third question, what will the ceremony be like to give thanks, make proposals, and receive guidance from the Creator when science, religion, and politics come together?
Good imagination. I think the celebration will be when the man becomes peaceful. At the moment, you know what they say, people, when they got nothing, they turn on themselves inside. And one of the nations which promoted war for peace is turning back on itself inside. And we have to see how they demolish themselves in one way or another to get there. It's very interesting. The American structure, Western European structure of the war system relies on the system and materials, which, as we all know, 80–90% comes from China, and China is refusing to sell anything to anyone who uses things for arm. That did exactly what they did with them. We don't sell you any chips, you have more advanced computers because you can be more ahead of us. It's okay. Now we are economically and scientifically good enough, we are not giving you the material to make you to fight us. If President Xi stays alive and they don't get rid of him somewhere, and the CPC carries on with his ethos, we are heading for world peace. Because one guy has understood, if I don't supply you, you can't have it. And if you don't have it, you can't make war. And if China withholds rare earth material to go to any company who makes the tools of war, we are in for a peace. Whatever ammunition you got in the house, aircrafts, missiles and the rest, hold on to it because you cannot make any more of it. But the beauty of it is, even the bullet you use won't be there because the material is not there. I hope President Xi sticks to his and controls the raw material into where it goes. And they want a full explanation. They've asked for it. They want an explanation for exactly what they use the material. If it's used for arms for America or Europe, you're not supplied. Let's see how far it lasts, how much pressure they can take. But if Xi sticks to his gun, we are in for a world peace because nobody will have material to make arms. But again, it's man, there's other ways to do it. Any other question?
Okay, Paulo's proposal was, at least a partial proposal, because it cut off here. There are thousands of hectares of steep mountains that I would like to begin managing to reforest and create an ecological park as a sanctuary for endangered wildlife, in addition to being able to produce food using a bioagroforestry system. I would, and then it cuts off, and he reached the limit of words in the chat, apparently.
They've got to realize what is involved in ethical works. I explained this recently, and I explained this for knowledge seekers to understand for the record. We set out to feed the humanity. We got two big problems. One is that technologically we are getting there. It takes time, maybe another year or 2 years. Secondly is that if we use just the energy that you receive, tasteless, odorless, whatever, your emotion will run with the essence of life. But if you're supposed to feed you with apples and tomatoes and what knows, we have to go back and recreate the structure that has no contamination. So the first job for Keshe Foundation is to go bring the what we call products into first of all creating a pure apple that has had no, or as let's say all the nitrogen, all the bits which over years have gone into the structure of his roots are withdrawn or taken out, and then make a system which with that can produce energy fields that is pure, that you can transmit. If I have, let's say, aluminum in the structure of a food which is not supposed to be there, when I transmit this energy, the aluminum transmits too. If you have antibiotics given to an animal, when we transfer it, gets transferred back to, and then you get all the side effects in the body because everybody else in it. purity of food, essential fundamental basis, needs to be redone, and Keshe Foundation has committed itself to that job. Creating the first seeds which have no contamination. And we have set out, the structure has been set out to achieve this. Pure seeds, which from it we can produce materials, vegetation or whatever, which have no contamination and is accessible to all men through the technology. There's a very big problem with me. I cannot sit and do nothing as usual, as all of you know. So in the near future, in a couple of years, remember 613, and then one day say he knew something. But the problem is most of the food we have over the time of past 100 years has been fully contaminated. We have to do 2 or 3 things at the same time. It's not just cleaning the food. We have to clean the air, we have to clean the ground, we have to purify the water. And we have started the process. And you will see, I see somebody who was very devious in the background, sits and listens to the teaching and tries to play with the market cooperation shares. We are on you, and soon you'll have a knock on the door. And that knock will cost you a lot of time for interfering with the stock market. You thought you're clever, but we get you. You're marked. For that reason, I explained to many of you that in the very near future, we set out this cooperation through Market Cooperation International to promote the production of materials which are pure, and then for purification of the air and the water, and then the food. This is why we got involved with Market. And once the what you call interference with the shares of the market finishes in the next few days by this clever gentleman, then we move on. We are delayed till this is sorted by the authorities in the United States, and then we move to the dimension we have to do, because we can't allow drug addicts to be in playground of the Keshe Foundation. And then you will see the programs which we have laid out for all 3 next 2 or 3 years. The rain rains on us is contaminated. The air we breathe is contaminated. The waters we drink are contaminated. The food we eat are contaminated. And there is a process that we need it pure, clean, that we can change it. And we have started it with the food, the basic fundamental of the food. We don't need tons of it. We just need to create a batch of it. And that batch gives us the base to use the communication system which you are supporting us to be built. We still need another $4 or $5 million for these units to be complete, at least in the lower phase, to go through. And then sustaining it, holding it, and then sharing the necessity of man. And we'll see what happens next to it. But the structure is to clear the pure seeds. That if you have lead in it, we transfer it as the energy, you receive that lead in it, and then God knows the mayhem. So we have started the process. Maybe next year, 2 years, you will achieve it. And everything needs to be cleaned up. That you go back to it, and then you transfer it to energy that the man doesn't need to contaminate, to kill on the rest of it. for the systems we have. If you can donate or put a few millions to purchase these systems, we'll go with it. We need that help. And as I said, in November, those who've been instrumental to defraud the Keshe Foundation from our core assets, which was allocated for this foundation, are in court. God knows if he can get anything back, but whatever comes will go back towards this process. What was supposed to be done will be done in different ways. Any other question?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 624th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 8th, 2026. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again in this weekly series of ongoing workshops. And once again, we have the honor of having Mr. Mehran Keshe as our main presenter here once again. And I think he's ready to go with today's teachings. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you there?
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series on knowledge series from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. As usual, we welcome you back and we try to share some knowledge. As we all know, and we've been tracking back for months, and in different way, we came the wrong way around for past 3-4 years, as we started with the soul, and then we start understanding cosmic rays. We come to a point that, as we said, we have to look at the origin of the magnetic field. It's the collection, interaction, division of the magnetic fields, which leads to creation of plasma. And then that plasma in different names has the sun, the soul of the man, the black hole of the galaxy, and the black hole of the universe, and the rest of it. But how does the magnetic field become a plasma? Singularity with a confinement of the space leads to creation of life. With one single ray, one single cosmic ray, one can create a galaxy. If one knows how, if one understands the process of the creation, understanding that everything has a strength, everything has what I call stretching point, and then everything at a dimension of the boundary has to return, divert, reflect, converge in the space which the what I call strength of magnetic field allows it to exist. And if one understands this, with a single cosmic ray, man can create a galaxy, can create a universe. This does not need to be much if one understands the principle of the working of cosmic rays. And once you understand this, you understand how the whole of universe starts with one ray, is singularity. And given that space dimension in the universe, the environment which is created for, accommodated that ray to move, dictates the structure within that space, or what we call the strength of plasma. And if one understands this, understands how the creator has led to the creation of the universe we look at, you need one single cosmic ray, and not necessarily of the high order, to create the whole of the creation. As man sees its universe, is that single egg which leads to the life of one man. But if you can understand this, and you can comprehend, be enlightened by the knowledge, then from one ray you can make gold, copper, life, amino acid, water, and anything you need. You can transmute on that ray, you can transfer on that ray, you can become part of the source, and with it become part of itself. There is a principle in the world of the dynamic magnetic fields, or magnetic fields in motion, that the division leads to creation of the stronger field. What does this mean? Is that if you peel a magnetic field off, inside it is a stronger field than its peel. And at the same time is magnetic field strength dependent, or measurement. What this means if I hit a magnetic field in a direction of this containment, the reflection of it is not weaker, but is much stronger. It does not give fields to its point of boundary, but it absorbs energy from its boundary to divide itself, to reflect, to come back. This goes back to the principle of what we said, a balloon can expand to and within a boundary as the environment allows it. You cannot blow a balloon and put it in a box and expect it to cover the box inside it. The size of the box, the dimension of the box dictates the size, the shape of that balloon in the box. But in the dimension of the plasma, cosmic rays, that boundary is interacting with a stronger field outside it that has created that boundary. So by interacting to its boundary, it gains energy of a different dimension, even though it leads to its division, to its reflection, to its inherited in combination of field absorption. In a way, when a cosmic ray hits or comes in the dimension interaction of the boundary which dictates it, which is dictated by its environment, it absorbs energy from it. So when it returns with a bigger energy than when it was going out. This is one of the reasons that gravity works. This is one of the reasons that man has not understood the process of the creation is different in the dimension of fields than in the dimension of matter. In the matter state, when a bullet hits an object, when it reflects back, it comes back with a slower speed because part of its energy is absorbed by the containers, by what it hits in the world of the energy and plasma. If one understands that there is no solid position, we don't see a solid wall on the surface of the sun, we don't see a solid wall on the environment of this solar system. The dictated condition, the boundary is soft, spongy, with no dimension, and in that process, it absorbs energy as much as if it is within the speed limit of the containment of itself. If it's low, it slows down, it gets contained. But if it's a higher order of speed, it gains energy from its environment. And that energy, when it comes back, on the way back, now is not hydrogen anymore. Now is deuterium. Now is helium. Now is carbon. Now it becomes a higher density. And when the atoms hit, when the plasmas contact and become interacted, that energy is so high compared to the environment that it absorbs energy from an environment that allows it to divide. This is exactly how when egg and a sperm come together, in that interaction, the mass energy becomes heavier, that it absorbs energy from the womb of the mother, and that absorbed energy allows it to divide. There is no difference between the process of a cosmic ray from the creator and condition it has within the environment of the universe than the womb of the woman when sperm and egg come together. That coming together is not gentle, is absorption, amalgamation of the fields, which in that point it becomes heavier than its environment. So it pulls in energy from the womb of the mother, it pulls energy from the dimension of the universe, and in that process, in absorbing more with the balance of the environmental condition, it cannot hold, it divides, it leads to creation of the galaxy, it leads to the second generation of the cells. Then it leads to, and then increases by absorbing more energy from the boundary environment of itself, division of cells, creation of galaxies, the stars, and the rest. There is no difference between the womb of the mother and that child within the structure, that baby, that cell, within the structure of the womb of the mother and the creation of the galaxies. It's the same process. All starts with one ray. All starts in a combination of one magnetic gravitational field force, which by absorbing energy from its surrounding dimension of the fields in reflection back, interacting with itself when it gets peeled off in conjunction and in contraction, to creation of the suns, to creation of liver, to creation of solar system, to creation of a kidney. There is no difference. It's just that we have given different name. One we call the Milky Way and one we call the liver and everything else. One sperm, one egg lead to creation of billions of cells, the body of the man. One ray of cosmic ray in the same process in the division, interaction by itself leads to creation of star, leads to creation of galaxy, leads to creation of a universe. Now, if the man of science understand this, then man with one ray can produce everything that a man needs. Today, you knowledge seekers here, you are on the very much on the verge, on the dimension, on the process of the same. What we see, what we do with you today is no different. In the background, we are creating that condition. We have set up those of you who are sitting on the panelists. You see that how we are creating this field in the background. Systems are set to confirm this, that we can create emotion, which is the field dependent. We can create at the same time matter, which is sitting within the boundary creation of the structure of the skull of the man, creation of the structure of the cells of the brain of the man, the creation of the structure of the physicality of the man. So if one understands this, you don't need, as man has got used to composite, man needs singularity. One single cosmic ray can lead to creation of the universe if one man understands the process of creation. This is how our lives, this is how our universes, this is how our galaxies are created. And you don't need huge power to create it. There is no reality in a Big Bang theory, because if you understand, life starts at the simplest point. We do not see, we looked at, we have all the tools to look at the cosmos and the galaxies for decades. We never seen a fast moving light and fields going from one side of the universe to another. Creation starts with the lowest magnetic field and its interaction with its own confinement field, creation of the new cycle, new interactions, new divisions, which that leads to the creation of the first seed of a star, and then the star. And then in that process, its division and holding to its confinement to planetary system and the rest. The marvel of understanding the creation is to understand the process of the creation, not just by looking at the creation and saying, what a beautiful thing. All started with one ray and no more. And with a very, 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 very weak magnetic field. Man is the habit of making everything to be big and strong that it can lead to creation. The process of the creation from the creator is with the softest, gentlest, lowest level energy. But it's in motion of it. magnetic fields in motion, it creates energy. And then when it gets to that point, and then man converts it into the matter state, you call it potential, you call it whatever, dynamic, kinetic, and everything else you want to call it. The whole process is how man understands the work of the weakest fields, which its interaction with its environment leads to creation of life, leads to creation of universes. If you look, we always said, well, back in the process of the teaching of past years, we receive energy through the hydrogen level, to the fundamental plasma, through the cosmic ray level, which makes that fundamental plasma. And once you understand this, then you understand how black holes are created out of the return of the fields which are of the higher order from the boundary of the system, or from the interaction of those of the lower that create the higher order, that the lower cannot be seen. Man calls it the dark matter, man calls it the black hole, because the blackness in the lack of man's understanding of the process of the creation. In the science of today, as I explained before, man looks at the matter state of any element, but is the energy of the fields which leads to creation of the matter, not matter leading to creation of the fields. Is the magnetic field of the magnet which confirms the existence of the magnet, not the magnet trying to confirm its existence without its field. If you as knowledge seekers understand this process, if you as knowledge seekers comprehend the process of what we call working of the magnetic fields in motion of the lowest order, then as knowledge seekers, you'll come to understand the process of creation has been much, 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 much easier than what man has ever thought. What man could ever think, what man could ever imagine to come together for it to exist, to be part of, to confirm the existence of. Today, we are used to, we are fed to think, create high magnetic fields to confine, create bigger structures to confine, but we have not been told that the weakest and the smallest, if used the right way, become even much stronger than the bigger physical structure. Field strength within a cosmic ray is the what I call sign, strength, work, and manifestation of that field at a point of its interaction. What this means? If you get 2, if you get 1, if you get 10 fields moving to the boundary of the plasma, and if you target it or target them in a way that in hitting this sponge, they absorb the energy, and because the dynamic structure of the plasma within the outer boundary of the plasma pushes them back in, that single ray in return hitting another single ray leads to creation, to division, amalgamation of fields, which lead to become the beginning of the structure of the plasma. When we talk about the plasma, when we talk about the sun, the surface of the sun is not hot because fields come out of it. The warmth of the sun is because the fields which came to the boundary go through a transition of the plasma to matter state and then interact with the same fields which created them, which leads to the light, to division, to the field and the temperature high on the surface. I have explained this in other teachings in past years. Man looks at the heat, looks at the flares, looks at the behavior of the sun on its surface. But if man one day understands and look at the cosmic rays, which these interactions, which come from the center of the star, then man will open a new chapter in the science of the creation. When our scientists look at the cosmic rays of the sun, then the rays of the sun, then the material expansion of it, then man will break into a new world of science and technology beyond imagination of the present time. If 2 magnetic fields, 2 cosmic rays interact with the environment and in return interact with each other, this become, because they are of 2 different strengths, even they started from the split or they came from the same source, will lead to creation of dynamic motion, which then leads to the creation of dynamic plasma. And this creates a dictation and a condition of that spongy edge, which dictates the condition. If this is hard for you to understand, watch the process of an egg within the structure of the chicken. How simple the yolk is created, how simple then the gel is created, we call it the white of the egg, and then suddenly where does the skin come from? How does a body of an animal so freely, so easily just puts a calcium shell on what is being the inside? If a chicken can produce every day 1 egg with nothingness, and that shell that you have to crack it against the pan to break it, and some shells you even can't break it so easily, created. If you understand this, then you understand how the soul of the man in interaction and reflection from its source in the boundary of it, instead of being that shell of the egg, become the skull of the man. There's no difference just because you put the skin and some hair on it. And then in the same process, it reverses the whole job and puts the bone in the center and the put meats on it. What do you call the muscle tissue? The skull of the man is, in a way, the physicality and the soul of physicality outside holding the soul in. The muscle tissue with a bone inside is when you brought the physicality within and you create a softer material outside that you call it muscle tissue in the transition to, in the conversion to, in the process of creation of to. One is the dimension of the field's interaction within the condition of the fields of the universe. One is in the condition with the interaction of the fields of the earth and combination of matter state of the planet. Human race in the space will not be able to hold on to a skeleton of the calcium he has in his bone structure. Man soon will understand when he becomes the true passengers of the universe. If you don't understand this, let me explain to you how your ignorant scientists call it bone mass loss in astronauts. There is no bone mass loss. It's the reality that the magnetic fields, what we call the lack of holding on to interaction with the planet Earth, does not allow bone to be created. It's not a loss. Man doesn't understand it, puts a wrong wording to it, changes the process of thinking. The same as sometimes the chicken does not get enough time or does not have enough conversion ratio. When the egg comes, it's all gooey and soft and jellyish. Because something has gone wrong in the process of conversion of fields into matter at the boundary. In today's system, while you're on with us, we have certain system in the background. We are monitoring it. How you convert through the plasma of the soul, matter state of outside. Then you understand how you knowledge seekers need to understand the emotion to change that, to be able to transmute. Your skull is not just happened to be there. It happened to be there as your soul creates the fields and the womb of the mother creates a dimension. This is as much as I'm letting you to grow. So now you cocoon it. You give it a shell and then you stick a skin on it and then you call it a hair stick on it and the rest of it. But in fact, there is no difference when you look at the animals outside and a man brain and the skull, the same as the egg yolk and the white and the shell of an egg and the skull of the man. The only difference is that that yolk in the center of the egg is called the soul of the man, in the center of the skull of the man. And once man understands that the field, singularity of field from this, with the interaction of the field of the womb of the mother, dictates the size, the shape, the whatever of that skull, the shape that that brain will carry with it as its protector, as its cover, conversion of the fields into matter. This is exactly what we did in the presentation of the Beijing last year. Field from inside converts by interaction in the environment to the matter which you see, the skull. This is how the future spaceships will be made, not by huge aircraft hangars and the rest of which man is used to it. You create a field that is field dimension in respect to its environment, creates the shape, the matter, and the energy. And this is what we have always taught you. Now you understand the reason. And I need only one single dynamic cosmic ray to make you the biggest spaceship ever you could imagine. Knowing how to interact it with its environment dynamically, directionally, and process. Once you stop a plasma to be dynamic, it's not a plasma anymore. It takes in the shape of the matter state. And if you understand this sentence, you understand how that eggshell is made, how the skull of the man is made, how the bone structure of the body of the man is made, and you understand why every single cell in your body has a calcium inside it. If you understand this allows you, this brings you to the point where man starts to understand how hard it will work for it to be part of, to be a structure of, to be existing within the structure of the body of the man. What man needs to understand is how dimension, strength, motion of single cosmic ray can lead to the creation of a universe. Then if you understand this, it should be easy for you to understand the transmission of the fields, which leads to creation of the plasma, which leads to condition of the transmutation, leads to condition of conformation of existence. In so many ways, it has brought us to a point. In so many ways, it brings us to one single point that we need to understand about the process of creation, that with it we can process, understand the whole structure of the creation. One field of the Creator has led to the creation of the whole of this universe. Because the containment decided by the unicause reflects back that single field into itself, that by interaction of it by itself, by its own reflection interactions of the itself, which has reflected in the past on the way of a slower and a faster or weaker field, leads to creation of matter state, which then leads to creation of conformation of a plasma. Then you understand from today's teaching, I made man out of the fields of my own in the interaction of the limitation of myself and the diversion, conviction, and division of myself. And if you understood this, then you know how to play not with the current to increase the strength of a solid magnet, but by the motion and the strength field of the motion to create different dimensions and feel the strength of the matter state to transition and transmutation of the fields back to matter. Just try to understand how your bone was created with what you learned today, how your skull was created, and how that poor chicken converts a liquid in a solid matter state. You call it the shell. We never understood, but we have to understand now because we are knowledge, we've been taught, we can see the process of the creation. Then it comes to what fact? Does it need to be that hard? Because if you look at the grain of rice, it's exactly the same as the egg. If you look at the single sperm, it's exactly the same. Single egg is exactly the same, and everything else. Try to understand what was explained today. We are giving you a slowly key to the process of the creation. Now you know how single ray has led to the creation of universe, and I made man in the image of myself because it's me who, by interaction of myself, lead to creation of you. How can you be any different than me as I create you with the interaction of the field of myself in a package of the plasma, what I call the soul, with the interaction of another soul and the environmental field which I created in that environment to manifestation of physicality of the man. So I do everything myself, and you claim it to be you. We go for a break, try to understand, and then we open another Pandora box. That now that you know how the whole of creation is led and comes from one single ray, then question is, where did that ray come from? But the reality is, it's not where it came from, as it cannot be ever disconnected, is what is connected to. I hope you understand, and I hope if you understood, you comprehend today, you learn about who you are and how you've been created. And all came, the whole, what you see of the creation in your eye started and comes from one single ray, an interaction of itself with its magnetic field cascading up its own shell, leading to creation of all the life we see in the universe. We go for a break, we come back, and I hope you fully understood what is today's teaching.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. All right, like Mr. Keshe said, we'll have a short break here. And when we come back, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions. And I'll remind our participants here, the attendees can raise their virtual hands and then we can acknowledge you. So you can open your microphone. And folks can also put questions into the Q&A in our Zoom or in the webinar chat or in the chat in YouTube. Okay, let's have a a quick couple of videos here and be back shortly.
Water is the foundation of our life. It is part of every living creature. More oxygen and stay in its natural condition during the day.
Another 3 sessions of transmission, not transmutation. This is very important for us, and part of it is taking shape in the background today. So those of you who are used to joining us on what we call on a monthly meeting on Fridays, we have announced a new set, but we're trying to keep it very, very low numbers that we can understand and process the whole thing. So if you would like to join us, please sign that weekend structure, because we decided to do a different way, that we transmit the reason for this was part of the learning of the 3I, how to bring you or bring the fields within you to be able to transmute easier. So it's a transmission and a transmutation, and it's a vital part of our research. We have to understand and in a way try to bring that into work. On the other hand, there's still a need for knowledge seekers who can join on the what we call peace and enlightenment game. Please join as many as you can to test it by January. We have a good idea of by March, we have a good idea of what needs to be done and how that is done, that we can bring about a process of what we call the next structure. That what we've seen at the moment around us in the world, all the wars we see, all the hardship we've seen, and everything we've seen in the past years is to do with the matter state who holds the power and which currencies are stronger than the other one, which can dominate. And we need to bring what we call the cash coins into operation very rapidly. That it takes the leg out of these things for this process to go. So please join the game, bring as many people as you can as we learn what is the limitation, what's the problem, and how we can proceed to speed this up. That we need to learn, hopefully we need between 3,000 to 4,000 people to join in the plenary section. It's good that we're getting a small amounts in, small numbers in, but please promote it across with the other people in different channels, wherever you know, to start joining, registering for this process. Because once we gather, we what we call fix all the holes, we announce that you can earn yourself a couple of coins, and the coins are transferable around the world in different shape or form, then the game changes. At the same time, sometime this week, most probably within the next few days, you will see Keshe Foundation team again puts new products for Valentine, which is coming up in next month, next 4 or 5 weeks. And then again for the Easter, these are as part of the collection of the resins we did, but this time they're much more seasonal and very interesting in some of it. Very limited numbers, and it will not be repeated. This time is not in what we call packages, is individual item. Once it's sold, it's gone. There is no repetition. We go back to the questions. If there are any questions, we're trying to answer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Once again, I'll remind our attendees, you can put up your virtual hand if you'd like to personally ask a question. We do have a number of questions in the Q&A to begin with. Let's see, from Green, who says, greetings, Rick, Mr. Keshe, Universal and Earth Council members and knowledge seekers across the Unicos and Omniverse. My question for Mr. Keshe is as follows. You mentioned in your teaching today that the Unicos could be related to the human body and that planets, solar systems, and galaxies, etc., are created by a cosmic ray out of a womb space. Does that mean the sun of a local universe is akin to a mother that birthed her children, the galaxies and planets, etc.?
Can you repeat that? I didn't understand.
Well, you mentioned in your teaching today that the Unicos could be related to the human body, and that compared to the human body rather than related. Okay, so the question is, does that mean the sun of a local universe is akin to a mother that birthed her children? I think that's essentially what you were saying today.
So what we're trying to say is that I think you got the wrong end of the stick, as we say in English. The whole creation comes from one field. Doesn't matter if it's a child in the womb of the mother, is the solar system in the galaxy, or the galaxy in the universe, is created by the field interaction of its environment and its reflection, its divergence. And when a field gets to, in a plasma condition, not in a matter state, interacting with its environment, it does not, like, as I said, like a bullet hitting a surface and coming back in. It absorbs the energy of its environment, so it becomes of the higher order, but it returns back in, which is interaction with its fields of itself, of the past reflections, leads to creation of what we call stars or seeds of the stars. And this, with the for example, as we understand, with the soul of the man, which is already collected, the interaction leads to creation of the sun, or gives the centralization to be able to do. You've got to, I explain this in a different way. Just let me set the thing up that you can understand. Used to you have a ray which we put it straight, but you have to understand it's dynamic. But then you have to understand another point, which this point where has my colors gone to? This is the environment. Spongy is not, does not have a line that this chap comes and it hits and it comes back. This comes, he absorbs energy of and return. Now you have to understand something very interesting. This is absorbing and hitting and coming back. It's the same field interacting with itself of reflections of its past, that in having different energies, let's say this is of time ago with less friction is 2 Tesla, this one is 1 Tesla, in interacting with each other creates a dynamic motion. And then confirming in respect to its environment, decides if it manifests itself in comparative and relative to its environment as a matter of state. So in a way, if you look at it, where is this thing? If you look at it, I need to get this thing moving. Okay. If you look at it, when the ray comes, sorry about that. When the ray comes, it hits its boundary, comes back, it hits its boundary and it comes back. Now you have a point. So it's the same ray. No difference. This is the ray from the Creator. You don't need hundreds of rays coming in. This is how one. And then now this has a different comparison field to strength to this. It creates a dynamic motion of the plasma, or the creation of the motion of the universe. This is how life in the universe from the Creator has started. And this is how it even repeats itself in the womb of the mother, in the womb of the whale, the cat, in a fish, or in a tree. One ray and its reflection and interaction with itself leads to creation of galaxies, kidneys, brain of the man, and the rest. This is dictated by this environmental condition. This is the part of the unicos. So this is the size of our universe. This is the wall of the womb of the mother. So it's the size of the child. And the organ in the child, galaxies in the universe. It's all the same. Lack of understanding has created man to think, oh, it's something very big and different. Any other question?
All right, very interesting. Thank you.
Let me explain to you something, even if you go deeper. When you look at the birth, I was discussing this past few days in another discussion. In the present knowledge or misknowledge of man, which again goes back to the same when you go to twinity, we have a child in the womb of the mother and we have placenta. Why does the placenta stays the way it is? What is it connected? What is related to? What is the initial source of it? Why the womb never connects to it? Why does it treat it as a foreign body? That placenta, every single cell of it comes from the sperm of the man, the male part. Is foreign to the body of the woman. The child is amalgamation of the two. The placenta is man growing the structure of the body of the man, what he put in the womb of the mother. And it's there till the minute, till the second, when the child is born. If the world of science understand this fully, then a lot of rigmaroles about the process of creation shall change. The body of the mother, why does it keep it shell separated? Don't contact, don't stay with, don't touch me, don't become part of me. Because it's not me, it's the father's. The child is both of us. But everything, the life of that placenta is the male part. That's why it's isolated. That is why it's sacked and kept. Nothing to do with me. Yet there exists till what we jointly came to share as fields that is a child, is born, then out you go with it. If you understand this, you understand another part of the process of the creation, which we do not see with our own eyes, but is part of the structure of physical dynamic of the universe, is that placenta effect, which Once one star is created, once one structure is created in a field, has to have a matching to keep it in, to feed it, to connect it to the structure which is feeding it, is the converter, is that father looking after the baby even in the womb of the mother, that the energy absorbed from the womb, from the mother's side, it doesn't come all by blood the way we've been told, because it's the same as all the oil comes from dinosaurs. Now we understand deeper, now we understand the process of creation. Now we have to evaluate how the fields of the mother has led to creation of me. Where my dad is still with me, but nobody knew he's hiding inside. It's very interesting. And yeah,
We have a hand up, but before we get there, Cristiano had just sent a couple of images that he thinks is related to what you are explaining. And if you cast your mind back just about a little over 10 years ago, this is what you were drawing on the whiteboard. And this is the image of the physicality item that Cristiano is offering as representing that image, apparently. And I'm wondering if you have any comment about that, perhaps in reference to what you were just saying about the male, and maybe even the way things work in the womb of the woman, and so on. In a way, it's could be considered, could be compared, as you say.
yeah, you see, we have the same thing in the structure of the universe. In the womb of the mother, we are locked in with the physicality of the wall of the womb. In the world of the space cosmology, this part is not actually connected to anything. It's a dynamic of its own. And in a way, we see parallel in the world of creation. And then we have to look at it in the cosmic and see what we see parallel with it. And we see it. We see it as a structure of the field. And this structure of fields lead to the dynamic structure of the universe. We have to understand the process of creation, not accept what we've been told. This is how it is. Those who created the science of the present, especially in cosmology, especially in plasma physics, especially those in edge of the nuclear technology, are very much like the guy who said the center of the universe is Earth, and the latest, the funny one is that oil we have is from dinosaurs. Mr. Rockefeller managed to fool us, but others have fooled us in different way with their own gameplay in the knowledge of the man in the science of creation. What's the next question?
Okay, if we could have Azar ask a question. She's up next, and then there's Ed after that.
Hi, Mr. Keshe. Hi, everyone. Mr. Keshe, I have two questions, which are not my question, just relaying the message. One is not about this teaching. Is the CO2 gas is the most important gas between all the gases we have made so far?
No.
Okay. The next question is, if we start using the technology about creating energy in every aspect of our life, what can we do with the oil? What are the other modalities that we can use the oil for?
Massage.
Not that oil, Mr. Keshe. Massage. I mean, the oil we take from the ground, Mr. Keshe. Because one time you spoke about this.
I'm trying to be very diplomatic at this moment. It's literally my decision, and it's been burdening me very hard to bring an end to this business. The oil business, the gold business, and everything else. But I'm getting pushed into that dimension, to that position very rapidly. We saw kidnapping in the past few days of the world leader because of oil, under cover of shameless act. We see today as we speak, within the next few hours, another guy looting a nation will speak about the other ones who have looted, again with oil, where we can exist without it. We see those who looted are loading, have loaded. We've seen it in the past in Gambia and in Ghana and other places. Plane loads of gold to make the gold worthless. And what will be the next? Bringing everything everybody can have as they want, the way they want, on the banner of, but being part of. The structure of the creation. And I'm getting pushed. So some people who are very close to me know what's about to happen. Literally making oil industry worthless overnight. Making gold industry, value of the man for gold, worthless overnight. You've seen it. We showed it in Beijing last year. It's just to literally bring down the whole structure, which is the cause of the death, destruction, and a lot of other things which has no value outside this planet. You cannot sell a drop of oil to a man from the Mars. You cannot sell a gram of gold to another man from another part of the universe. It's just for man, because man is so feeble. And I'm just getting pushed. It's just coming pull to shove. I've asked myself why I don't do it. I haven't found the answer for it. But we can produce, in the next few weeks, we will show it in a very large scale projects somewhere in the world. The process where it started is part of the thing going on. We've seen, as I said, those of who are, as I said, close to me, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Nowadays, there's a drought. Nowadays, there's a fertilizers. Now there is a contamination of the fertilizers. Now there is a lack of rain. Now there is this and that and everything to do with the feeding of man. Our knowledge in the Keshe Foundation has reached a level that we can create a rain, and within the rain, create the energies which behave like a fertilizer. You don't need a fertilizer. When it rains, it really brings you the energy plasma, what the plant needs. Once we can do that, we can rain gold, as we did with the Chinese military in Hawaii, part of the north of China 2 years ago. We can rain water, rain, which carries every energy a man needs. You go in the rain, you get all the energies you want. Because it rains not just water, but energy which the body of the man needs to absorb energy from it. When I was in Gambia years ago, we used to live in a, what do you call it, a compound while our other business was getting sorted. And when it used to rain in the afternoon, people used to take a soap and would stay outside and wash. It was so warm, and it was for about 10 or 15 minutes, such a heavy rain, it was like a shower. It brought warm water, and it was as good as standing in a hot water, medium heat water and having a shower. We can make it that rain carries every food you need, every energy of any food you need, that you don't need to kill for. And with it, we can transfer the emotion of peace that you don't find. And this is not a knowledge that we are going to do. It's a knowledge we have, and very soon it'll be tested somewhere around the world. Next few weeks. Then, if we can rain gold, we can rain oil too. I hope I gave you the message.
Okay, Mr. Keshe, thank you. This is my question. Because do you remember when we were in medical teaching, I asked a question because I had a vision that I was hearing a sound, and the sound was in a way that I could see the air moving like a wave. Like if you take a stone and throw it into the water, you see the water moves. I would see the air moves like a wave. Then it was a voice was telling me they're going to turn me off, and they're going to take me to another planet. They're going to turn me on again. When I opened my eyes, I was in another planet. And then it was very beautiful. Everybody was busy. Everything was peaceful, and everything was beautiful. And then I told you said, one day I tell you what's going to happen. But then last week you said something about the importance of this year. And then there's so many different entities are talking about this year and what is about to come. And frankly, anytime I even think about this year, my heart starts to go like 100 miles an hour. My body gets hot, even if I'm talking now. And I don't know what's going on, but what is going to happen? Because somebody said the earth is going to, because you remember in your book, you said this earth had a mother. There was a So this is a child of the previous earth. So is this earth the mother of new earth? And people already going to go to new earth and it's going to be vanished? That's what's going to happen? And that's my question.
Are you there, Mr. Keshe? We can't hear you.
I'm listening. I'm trying to find a comparison In the process of creation, once you create a dynamic position, this dynamic environment waves through the whole of the universe. The field itself does not need to be there. And that wave itself has affected the power, the property of the field as is the field. It's like when you throw a stone in a pool, you see a wave. The wave does not represent the stone, but it shows the effect of its energy on the water you get. But in the plasma technology, in the process of the creation of the fields, that wave is actually the fingerprint of the field which has created it in 3 dimensions. And once we understand this in a deeper way, we understand the whole process of the creation, transmission, transmutation, and the rest of it. Now you can turn it upside down to any questions, anything you want to turn to. Then, do we need the object to create a wave, or do we understand the field strength of the wave tells us what strength was used to start with, because the waves are the fingerprint of it. But look at it 3-dimensionally, not just what you see the wave on the surface, because the air on the top has gone through the same process. Try to understand this. Try to then a lot of ambiguity in this world will be answered.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
And it is very difficult. It's, let me explain to you something which is, I tried to explain this before, but somehow I feel it's not understood. Let's use the whiteboard this way. You have a field, and you have a field which in fact the origin is self by itself. This creates a, why does it do this? This creates this, but this creates a wave where this creates a wave in its own environment. If this and this interact, you create a different kind of field matter than when this and this interact. The world of creation is made of both 1 and 2. Where this number 2 is it different in the world of entity than number one? In this, you still can create a matter state as you do with this. But in the world of the matter, you cannot do this. When you hit a hammer on a disc, you get a sound. You cannot make the hammer or the disc again from this sound, because in interaction with the field, it loses less and less and less, and it becomes non-existence. But in a dimension of the field in motion, is different, where part of the field strength of the this exists within this. And this is part of what we need to understand. There is a difference between the matter state and the field state. Even though we think we understood all of it because we understood the matter, we actually created more confusion to ourselves when it comes to the fields and the waves of the field. This has the capability to produce matter and creation as it does if it was the field itself. This is in the world of the plasma. This is in the world of the matter. Totally different behavior. Even though you might not understand these things, in the future, scientists which get involved in the world of the space, cosmology, in the field energy dimension, these things are very important for them to understand, that they can use as a what do you call a point of reference of knowledge. Then they'll bring a lot of breakthroughs. This is where the field wave in interaction with another field lead to the creation of the skull of the man. From field interaction and not the field itself. This is why in between you have the brain of the man. This interaction of the fields and the waves that the fields create is one of the cornerstones of the production of the emotion in the body of the man. Then, as we rained bones and we do it, the bone is on the skull of the man. It's not just the one you were born with in the womb of the mother. It changes every few months, every cell in this bone structure. So this is a continuous process. It's not just because you have this skull here, has been with you all the time. It has changed every cell in it millions of times. So the body in interaction of the fields which irradiates in compared to what is preset in the womb of the mother creates all the time calcium at this level. Just look at the very simple thing. This baffles if you understand what I'm talking about. This is your soul. And this is your skull. Not connected to anything, hanging there on its own. This chap, I'll move it out that you don't get confused. This is your soul, and this is your skull. Preset in the womb of the mother dimensionally, but when he came out of the womb of the mother was this big. Now is this big. Has no bone connection. It has no structure. It has nothing to do with anything else. Your spinal cord is there. How does it know how you grow? How does it know the size? And then how does it take shape? And always the cells are created at this level without connection to anything else, just controlled by the waves of the field, the strength of the soul, where the field of the soul leads to the creation of the matter state of itself. Very interesting. If you understand, if you comprehend, if you deeper in this, how does this field convert itself to matter of, and in here, different matter of, which the waves of it creates emotion, but the fields of it creates the physicality. Now you understand.
Okay, Mr. Keshe. So I have to go listen and then dig in. But now, since you talk about this, I wasn't going to ask this question, but I will ask it. But I
Doesn't
was
mean I
trying
have to answer it, but carry on.
but but is talking about the okay. So this is the way I look at it. You see, you have the neural groove. Neural groove when informs in a woman or mother, you get the brain, you get the spinal cord, and you get the nervous system. Okay, so each of them, when you
Ask
look at
yourself
the
before you go any further, how was this set up to be?
okay, that's what I'm getting. I mean,
How
that's what I
was
want
it
you to
set
tell.
up to be?
That's what I
How?
want. Can you explain that?
Yes, because this is part of the DNA, RNA, which has not been understood. We just will say this is the amino acid. Now how many million, whatever is the DNA combination, we have found out the blah, blah, blah. But man only looks at what he sees and he calls it the amino acid in the spine of the, what do you call it, the DNA. But man doesn't look at the fields which these amino acids create. He's a one-track pony. And then if you look at the DNA information, and then you had the energy of that information, then you understand how every structure in the body of the man or any entity exists. When you look at the DNA, when I've watched this thing, oh, we have done this with Geno and the rest of it. What is the energy of it? What is the performance of energy of every single cell and collective cell of that DNA, that genome, and the rest of it? This is where the problem is. Now, when you put those in, you see what it needs to be a matter, what it says energy, what it says everything else.
Okay, Mr. Cash, this is what I want to know. You see, when I look at the spine, you see, we look at the physical, we look at the spinal cord, but then it has layer by layer. Actually, it has a light, and within the light, there is an energy, there is a consciousness that comes from the soul, comes to all the bottom. Because when I do certain movement, because on the cerebrum, we have the cerebrum, and you have the medulla, right, in the back of the head. And then right a little bit lower than the neck is the cervical. So these are the point. And as you go down, you go to the dorsal, you go to lumbar, you go to sacral, you go coccygeal. So these are all come down. When I realize if you do certain movement or certain breathing, they get ignited. But I don't know how to ignite it in a way that goes from the bottom, from the coccygeal to, how do you turn on this? You know how people steal cars?
It cannot do because it's created in that energy gradient. You'll damage it. You'll create mayhem in the center in the brain.
But how does other people get enlightened then?
That's physical. That's energy and fields. Two different things.
So how do you get the soul out then? Because I feel since I started your teaching, I was I came to the channel. I was looking for answers, and I was so excited. I asked question, but I fell into a bottomless pit, and no matter how much I go, I'm still going.
Yeah, you see, Azajan is very simple. Let me take you for another dimension of information, knowledge. This is your central energy. This is a dimension where its interaction changes to matter state and becomes your skull. Where the field of it, yeah, where the field of it has no boundary. I can be here with my soul, my physicality. Let me come out of here. I can be here with my soul, my physicality, look at you, and knowing you're in pain because I can feel the fields which you're sending out. You understand? Where your pain, your headache stays in your head, nobody can feel it. You still have a damn headache in your head. Yeah? So you have to understand how to change these fields which embrace this physicality and now is in the hand of the fields. Move, you transmute. You have to change this. It's very simple. It's this. This is exactly what we talked about. And this is going back to what it was mentioned earlier. When the two pass, when the fields they cross, or the field they interacted. This is a physical matter condition. This is field, wave, which is created by it. If you can understand this, then you just move. Let me see, find this one. Then you move this field in the wave of it to pass, and then you create a condition of it. This is as much as I want to go, because now I captured the physical skull with me. It goes, it doesn't matter. I decide the shape or size of it. This is how transmutation is done. You're not lost. It's just that you haven't learned to, you decide the dimension of it, because it's at the field strength. You can send it down a magnetic field anywhere in the world. You can send it down the telephone line as a magnetic field in a tube. That's the difference. This is where you're lost, and I can see not only you, but many knowledge seekers have lost with this thing. You have to understand you have the fields, and your skull has decided the physicality, a boundary of the matter state of it. Go back to, go out and come back in. Go back to you deciding the strength of the fields and the boundary of the fields. And you deciding how much emotion you put in it. At this point, it's physicality. At this point is a boundary between the energies of different fields. This is as a boundary field of the universe. You dictate, this is where I dictate it to be, this new field, that I just moved the matter state of my skull with me. Now it's in there, it's mine, doesn't matter what you see at it. I manipulate it because it goes back to itself what it was before. This is created by frequency. This is created by emotion. That's the difference. This is where you as knowledge seekers, most of you get lost. This field here, these fields here coming from your brain is by emotion. This skull is created by matter physicality dimension. And the field emotion, because it comes as like a hot water, and the skull is like a sugar. This is why when you go to the moon, the skull has no meaning. It can't be looking what you look on Earth. Impossibility. So now it takes its shape and you look like a little worm, and that's what you can exist on the moon. Otherwise you will die as a man. It's impossibility to move to the moon, live on it in the environment of the moon, and have the physicality of the man. Impossibility. Because the emotion carries, but the environment does not allow that emotion to have that dimension. You have to learn how to change, how to play with the emotion to pass the boundary. Go back to the teaching of past few months. We always explain, now maybe you understand. It's the emotion which leads to creation of time. It's emotion which leads to creation of day. Everything else which the man has, because he has not transferred into matter state. And so it's more powerful than the matter state. Matter state is the weakest point. And the emotion of the man is a supply of fields which are beyond imagination if you know how to do it. The guy who you call your guru, you go to India and he left himself, he has learned how to expand this emotion that it comes in interaction with the gravitational field of the earth. That's all it does. That's why it levitates. Nothing else. You're not lost. You have not understood the process of using the emotion as a field to expand the field of strength of the soul that doesn't convert to the matter state. The skull is the dimension of his matter state. It stops there. That's why it keeps on regenerating every cell all the time around the year. But your emotion changes today to tomorrow, 1 second to another.
I think, Mr. Keshe, I know part of now I understand what is the part of the problem, because I think it's more like, you think it has to be something hard, but I'm getting a little bit of clue what's going on. When you talk about emotion, I realize with the people who are close to me, like there's some synchronicities going on that has to come from that, because when you, to get to that aspect, I feel like you have to do something, a lot of work. And actually,
oh, you don't need to do any
to do a
work.
lot of work.
Believe
That's
me,
what I mean.
you don't need to do. Do you do a lot of work when you feel emotional about your daughter?
No.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Why? Why do you need to work? We have limited our lives into what we can see, not what we are capable of. It's two different things. Wish you good luck. You've done
Yeah,
a
and
lot.
also, we have a lot of, actually, when I think about it, we have a lot of power this way. I mean, physicality doesn't have any power compared to this.
No.
But then this power can be very constructive, or can be very destructive.
It doesn't need me to destruct it because the environment doesn't allow it. If I don't want it, you cannot do anything with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
me
understand.
who allows you. It's me who allows you to abuse me or to love me, and I love you back, or abuse you, or you jump the cliff and I can still hold back on you jumping cliff just by passing on the energy and
Yeah,
nothing else.
exactly. Thank you so much, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. This is the power they use, as you know, the Ouija board, or they use that these little things, they put pins in the statues and different names and cultures, they use it because they extend the energy. And that energy, when it's transferred to you in reverse as emotion, becomes the physicality of you. Man should investigate about his own power and his own enlightenment by himself. Cannot be taught. Cannot be taught.
Thanks again, Mr. Keshe. That
You're
was it.
welcome. I hope you got enlightened. Shall we call it a day?
If you like, yes. We have many questions here, but people might have to carry them on till next week.
Please try to go back on the teaching of today, listen to it, because it's very deep. You start going into the dimension that some of you come to a point and say, I don't understand what's going on. These are building blocks of the future of mankind in the space. Man needs to understand this, that he does not get frightened of his own physical dimension of presence in the new environment. You know, like you're asleep and they put the clothes and mask you, and you wake up, you don't know your face. This is not the way I went to sleep with. It's exactly the same story. When you go on another planet, you are faced in a new condition. But you have to understand, you feel the emotion of the soul. So it does not matter what the physicality looks like in interaction with its environment and what the environment dictates, position of field of the emotion of the soul. You see, the very, very interesting point is when you have the physical emotion, this skull moves, shakes, makes the physicality to run. But when you deal with the emotion of this, you laugh, you cry, you show no physical emotion, but you feel it inside. This physical emotion makes you move. This physical emotion makes you enlighten. That's where the difference between the two emotions is. This creates a time of moving. This creates a time of maturity and enlightenment. And then there are two different things. This is why we say there's a time of the soul and there's a time of physicality. There's a time of the emotion of the soul and there's a time of the emotion of the physicality. If you understand these things, then you can convert from one to another like a flip of a finger.
So people get confused perhaps when they use the word love, and it could mean that physicality part of feeling that part of love, as opposed to the outer
Emotion of it.
outer emotion of it, which is more universal or more.
Yeah. We have to understand the two states and the connection between the two states. And this is difficult for mankind because man is too physical. Far, far too physical. And he's forgotten about the energy side of it. That's all. We got entangled with the physicality of this universe, not with the world of its energies. Thank you very much for this week. See you next time. And as I said, now you understand how the single ray of the Creator has led to creation of you. Try to understand that, then add next time emotion to that field, then the game starts. Thank you very much, and see you next week.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Very good. Let me get my sharing back here. And again, I know there's a lot of questions. Our Q&A was filled up today with 21 questions. And do consider saving them till next week. I know Ignacio, for one, had a bunch of questions regarding ratios, angles, and numbers and whatnot. And perhaps you can condense those questions into one question for next week, and Mr. Keshe can address it. Okay, thank you everyone for attending today's 624th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 8th. And many thanks to Mr. Keshe for today's teaching. And again, very important teachings, and we look forward to more in the future in a similar regard. Just a reminder that people can play the new Game of Enlightenment, and it is a lot of fun and maybe even somewhat addicting to some folks, so be careful. And I put that out as a teaser because it is a fun game. It can be, I think it's a lot more than just fun as well. It helps bring out those emotions of peace and what we need as we go into our future here. So I put the links in the chats for the for both the game and to register for the game first, and then you can get into the game to play it with your username and password, and that's once you've registered. And there's also a tutorial from Ed that helps work your way through the different steps to get into the game and play the game. So I do encourage folks to consider that. Even if you're not usually a gamer, you might find it fun to get into. It might be a little bit of a learning curve, but no more than the kids playing Mario Brothers in the early days. So I'm sure virtually anyone can handle playing the game once they understand the basic rules. Let me see, we have a new workshop coming up on Monday, the 12th, which is the public meeting for testimonials. That starts at 8 p.m. Central European Time. And it's a good place for people that have experiences of the plasma technology or something through the workshops or some other project you have going on. Any aspect of the plasma technology that you would like to share with others, that is a good place to do it. The public meeting for testimonials, again, 8 p.m. on Monday, the 12th. Then on the 13th, we'll have the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace. And that's with members and support members of the Universal Council. And that's some of the soul-based aspects of of what they do. And that starts at 4 p.m. Central European Time, again on Tuesday the 13th. Okay, I guess that's it for now, other than I do have something from the Universal Council to show. If I can just find it here and get it downloaded, just bear with me a second. or two. And I'll get that open now. It's from the Universal Council through Lissy. And I'll just read the words, which is, we, the Universal Council, invite the Keshe and Universal family present at the Earth to unifying at the soul level every time, every day at 9 p.m. Central European Time, to give from our field strengths to enlighten the souls of world leaders, to negotiate and sign the World Peace Treaty, pledging their nations to a permanent and everlasting peace on this planet. Okay, thank you for that, Lissy. Okay, just a second here. Yeah. Okay, so that wraps it up for today. And again, thank you everybody for attending today's 624th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. We'll end with our usual flight enhancement spaceship unit. And bye for now. Have a great day wherever you are.